From the folks that brought you over-the-top, oversized screens to integrate into the new vehicles comes a brand new line of integrated DSP amplifiers. Of course, I'm talking about Linkswell, and today we've got their product specialist, JON DETLEFSEN, in the studio with us to break down the different model and special features that these integrated amplifiers offer. This is CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM, all about Linkswell, and it starts now. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu, and as we are talking about DSP, we have somewhat of a new entry into this category, coming to you from the team at Linkswell. If you don't know about Linkswell, I do encourage you to check out our other videos, especially in the source unit category, because these guys have got some serious hardware going on. They've managed to really get their footing when it comes to really oversized screens. You know, the look of the new Teslas, those big screens, they've got them, and they've got them to fit multiple applications. Not only that, they offer a complete integration solution in the box because they provide all the wiring. So it's going to be very interesting to see when they now have released a line of amplifiers that features DSP functionality, and I'm definitely going to question them about the integration potential as well. So, Jonathan, we got a lot to talk about. It may not be a huge offering, but I think there's a lot we need to discuss. What is your plan, and what are we going to be talking about today?
Hey, man, it is good to be back. And you know what? It's kind of exciting to be here on an episode that's different. We've talked, like you said, we've talked about our T-styles. And so I'm just really excited to introduce something that I'm excited about. I love me some audio, and that's on our DSP amplifiers. So we'll talk about the fact that we've got 3 different variations. We've got, like you mentioned, the integration. We'll talk about the integration and our plug-and-play harnesses. And then we'll just talk about some of the cool features that are just user-friendly, simplicity, or simple UI when it comes to the app, and just the features that these DSPs have as we've leaned into integration and what we know best. And now we're jumping into the amp side. So I am genuinely excited to talk about it.
All right, I'm pumped as well. But before that, just a quick opportunity for our partner, SiriusXM, to remind you dealers out there why you should love it. And when we come back, I got JON DETLEFSEN with me, and we're talking Linkswell DSP.
Hey guys, Ricky Lima here from SiriusXM. I had a chance to speak to some dealers and ask them what they love about selling SiriusXM. Here's what they had to say.
Coast-to-coast coverage.
I love SiriusXM for commercial-free music.
It's a great add-on sale and a profit opportunity.
We love selling SiriusXM because you can listen to the same channel coast to coast.
Profitability and ease of installation. It's a no-brainer.
We love selling SiriusXM for its ease of installation, great profitability, and reliability.
People love it.
All right, welcome back to the show. Let's get right in. Now, John, we mentioned that Linkswell obviously has found some footing within the source unit side, but I really want to highlight the fact that it's not just about the hardware, but the integration options that you provide from that level. So to help us understand the story or the transition when it came to developing a new line of DSP-based product transitioning from source unit.
Yeah, so really the story goes like this. We found out, like we've mentioned before on the shows, that we've got 2 different customers when it comes to those who are purchasing our radios. We've got the guys that are really just kind of wanting that big screen. Then we've got the guys that want to do all the cool things. And what we found was a lot of those guys that wanted to do the cool things didn't just want to upgrade their stereo, but they wanted to upgrade their audio as well. And so we got to thinking, hey, what could we do to kind of fill in that gap, right? Like, you can only put in such a powerful amplifier within a radio. Like, you're only going to get what you're going to get. There's just not much out there. So what could we do that would offer a better sound quality and be able to kind of stick into that integration and the simple install that we've really kind of cut our teeth into? And so we've got a couple of our engineers have a long history when it comes to amplifiers and being part of the engineer team on designing that. And so when we kind of had these conversations, it came up and they said, hey, what if we were to create like a 4-channel and a 5-channel that they could give some T harnesses where we would be able to go right behind the radio and T harness in and get signals and get outputs Really simple, really easy. And the fact that all of our new TStyle radios have TOSLink out, we would even be able to do a TOSLink in. So the idea is kind of kicked around about how we could do something simple and easy for the guys that wanted to add just a little bit more. And then, so we came up with our 4-channel and our 5-channel, and then we got those in, we tested them, and I'm telling you, I've been in this world a while. I've been in this industry a while, and I was really very impressed with just what these little amplifiers were able to do within a factory sound system. And so I was really excited. And then they decided, well, you know what? We've got this 4 and 5 channel. Why don't we go shoot for the moon and do something that the industry doesn't have right now? And that is build a 10 channel. And Linkswell is all about doing what the industry isn't yet. We did it with the T-style radios. We've done it with the big rotating screens. So we figured, why not do it with the amplifier? So we've got this nice little simple plug and play when it comes to the small guys. And then, you know what? Let's go big or go home. We've got a big 10-channel amp that we're able to do bridging and all kinds of things. Just trying to say, hey, there's a need for this in the market. Nobody's doing it. We're going to do it. So that's kind of the story, guys. We had a hole. And we figured, you know what? Let's figure out how to make something to fill in this need.
All right, Jonathan. So you did mention 3 different models, if I caught that right. But for the record, let's break that down real quick. What are the 3 different models? What are their ratings so that the dealers know what we're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is our 4 or 5 channel. So they're going to share a chassis. So they're going to look identical. The difference is really going to be the 4 channel is going to give you 4 channels by about 75 watts. The 5 channel is going to give you 4 channels by 75 watts plus a subwoofer output of 150 watts. But you can see in my hand, this amplifier is small, it is nice, it is sleek. And then our big 10 channel, our power horse here. So you can see this guy right here. Our 10 channel is boasting 100 watts by 10 with the ability to bridge channels 9 and 10 down to 350 watts and to bridge 7 and 8 as well if you wanted to do 2 subwoofers, again with another 350 watts. All of them are able to do 2 ohm stereo, not 2 ohm mono, but 2 ohm stereo. And yeah, that's what we got, 4, 5, and the 10 channel.
All right, John. So we're talking about 3 unique models, a 4-channel, a 5-channel, and a behemoth 10-channel. I got a checklist of things I want to ask you about to get some further clarity on. Let's start with the plug-and-play harnesses, because that is a pretty unique thing when it comes to amplifiers. I know there's been a couple of different amp product manufacturers that have come on and said they had harnesses, but a lot of them were European-based, so not always necessarily the vehicles that we deal with here in North America. So talk to us a little bit about the plug-and-play harnesses that are available. How does it work? And what's that all about?
Yeah, so the plug and play harnesses, like I've mentioned, it is one of my more excited parts, just coming from the history I did when it comes to installs. So I actually have a plug and play harness here in my hand. And so what you see is we'll have the options for Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, anything from, I believe it's 14 up, and then all the way from 22 up as well, because Dodge changed again. We've got GM, IO5, IOB, so that's going to be your 14 to 18 range. We have our Toyota. Now, if you guys have been installed in a while, you know Toyota hasn't changed or didn't change their main power harness for, well, it feels like 5 or 4 decades, maybe. I don't even know what that would be. But so if you've got even the older style Toyota up even to the newer style Toyota. So if we make a T-style radio for it, you can assume we have a T harness for it when it comes to the amplifier. But what we're going to give you is we're going to give you OE grade plugs. So you're going to have a male side that's going to go back into, like I said, even if it's the factory radio. So you don't need a T-style radio to do our amplifier. So I just want to make sure that that's super clear, because you can take this right into a factory radio. You're going to have the male side go right back into the radio, female side to the harness, and then you're going to run this one out to our amplifier, and then this is going to be your high-level input and your high-level output. So it's going to be the input signal to your amplifier and the output, done as quick as that. Like, we're not even going to ask you to use Allen keys on the amplifier to mount the wires to the amplifier. They're going to be right there on a plug. So I'm telling you, the install time is ridiculously quick when it comes to these T harnesses. Now, if you do end up using one of our T-style radios, or even an aftermarket radio that isn't ours that has a TOSLink, our plug and play harnesses will have a TOSLink there for you as well, so that you could use the high level input to be your signal source turn on, and then use the TOSLink to be your signal. And now you've got full-on digital signal coming from whatever your source unit is into this amplifier. And it took you maybe 5 minutes, by plugging it in, running it down, and sticking it into the amplifier. Maybe a 5-minute install when you use one of our T harnesses. Again, leaning into where we've cut our teeth and just OE grade integrations, simple plug and play. And like I said, we've got these for pretty much any make model that we make a radio for, and we will continue to push out more and more applications as we are able to.
Now, John, there is no doubt and absolutely a game changer that Linkswell offers these types of harnesses for integration and for installation ease. I'm a big fan of T harnesses. Everybody knows that. But let's talk a little bit about the input options when it comes to getting the signal into these amplifiers, because obviously these are integration pieces. So what are the options and what are the specs for said inputs?
Yeah, so input-wise, we're going to have to break that up into two conversations, one around the 4 and 5 channel and one around the 10 channel, mainly because, as I mentioned, we designed those with a little bit different functionality. So our 4 and 5 channel amplifiers are going to give you two inputs. It's going to be a high-level input or it's going to be a TOS-link input. So we do not have a low-level input on the smaller amplifiers. Again, because we were designing it around either going in with one of our TStyle radios using TOS-Link or going into a stock radio and using the high-level signals. So our 4 and 5 channel are going to give you up to a 36-watt input on the high level. So even the vehicles maybe that have an amplified system, you'd still be able to pull that out. You wouldn't be able to use the T-harness. So let me say that these T-harnesses are for non-amplified factory systems. If you have a factory amplified system, you'll have to use something else. But you can feed up to a 36-watt input in there. But we do give you some outputs. I believe we're going to be talking about outputs a little bit later. Now on the 10 channel, we're going to give you 10 channels of high-level input as well as 8 channels of low-level input and that TOS link, and we'll be able to talk about routing and being able to signal some and stuff, all of that when we kind of look at the UI. But the 10 channel is going to give you the ability to do a lot of inputs. So if you had even like a Chevy Bose with a Bose system in it where your front speakers are coming out of separate channels and then you've got subwoofers and you have all these other inputs, we'll give you enough inputs to go into the 10 channel and be able to route everything the way you need to, all built in, high level up there, again up to 36 watts. Your RCA inputs are going to give you up to a 15 volt input on the RCA, and a beautiful crisp sounding TOS link, of course, if you've got one of our TStyle radios, or even putting it into a different system that's got a TOS link output or output. There you go, output into our input, TOS link, RCA, or high level when it comes to the 10 channel.
Well, John, it sounds like Linkswell have thought about everything when it comes to getting different inputs and getting signal into the amplifier. But I think there's one that you missed out, because Bluetooth is also another input method that makes your amplifiers quite unique.
You are correct, sir. We do. So we have Bluetooth connectivity, and our Bluetooth is not just so that you can connect to the app and adjust it, but you can also, from your phone, look for the amplifier as if it's a source. So you can source straight from your tablet, straight from your phone via Bluetooth. And again, nothing extra needed. This is going to be built into the unit. So yes, our 4 channel, our 5 channel, and our 10 channel can be connected straight to Bluetooth as a source without needing any other source to it. So if you have an RV or a trailer or a boat or a motorcycle or something and you don't want to put a radio into it, you could put one of these amplifiers in there, and just like you said, straight from the phone, connect to it with the Bluetooth, use that as your source. And like I said, I know a lot of folks talk about Bluetooth connectivity. Ours is built in, super easy, and it connects fast, connects good. Not much of a lag, and man, it sounds really good for Bluetooth audio.
All right, so we've covered everything as far as the input side of things, but when it comes to system building, how was the process around the engineering of these amplifiers as far as expanding, system building, and how do the outputs work?
Yeah, so outputs is another conversation that's going to be 2 parts, because again, the design behind the 4 and 5 is different than the 10. So we'll talk 4 or 5 real quick. So 4 or 5 and outputs, they're going to give you just your standard 4-channel output, or add the subwoofer if you've got that 5th channel. Now within the amplifier, you're going to be able to set crossovers. You're going to be able to set EQs. Like the EQ actually can be per channel if you want to, or you can blend those. But your outputs are going to be whatever their input and output when it comes to the 4 channel. channel and 5-channel, you're not going to be able to do any signal summing. It's, like I said, made much more for just kind of the basic setup. But one cool thing that I love about these is you might have seen when I held up the amplifier, some RCAs hanging off the side of the chassis. And what those are for those customers. Like, I know I've had those customers that they come in and they're like, yeah, I just want a little amplifier, but then they hear your soundboard, but they don't want to spend the money quite yet. So you just put a simple system in it, and then they're back like 6 months later because they want to upgrade everything. So one very cool thing about these amplifiers is if you were to put in the 4-channel or the 5-channel, and the customer comes back in 6 months and says, hey, I want more power, I want more subwoofers, I want bigger speakers inside, you can actually keep the radio, and then everything that you've done within the DSP when it comes to setting the EQ, when it comes to setting the crossovers, it will actually give you the output to your high-end amplified system. So your 4-channel and your 5-channel has RCA outputs that will come. So you could use our amplifiers just solely as a DSP. So it's kind of a cool mid-grade there. So if you have one of those customers that you think may want to go a little bit more, but you really want to give them a good sound quality, you get that 4 or 5-channel in there. They run that for a little while, decide they want a little bit more power, and now you can still keep the quality of the sound because you've got that really nice DSP. Take the outputs from the DSP, go into what other amplifiers you want, and be able to do a whole lot of power. Now, when it comes to the outputs on the 10-channel, see, that's another bowl of wax. Now, we will give you one set of RCA outputs within the 10-channel if you wanted to do a really big sound system when it comes to bigger woofers, if you want to add the sub output. So we will give you one set of RCA outputs, but we're going to give you 100 watts by 10. That's at 4 ohm or 2 ohm. So, for example, we have a couple show vehicles that we drive around. All of our show vehicles actually have our amplifiers in it. And cheap quote, we've got a couple trucks cruising around Canada and in the USA just showing off our radio and amplifiers. They all have that 10-channel amp, so make sure you hit up your rep and have them bring that by there so you guys can check it out. You can actually hear it. But we've done full builds on those, so you could do a whole setup up front where you're going to do a 3-way, but you've only got 2 channels. So inside the amplifier on the 10-channel, we'll be able to do signal summing. We can do routing, so you can take different inputs and send the outputs on different channels. I mentioned on channels 9 and 10 being able to bridge it, so you could do a subwoofer, and 7 and 8 being able to bridge it. So with the 10-channel, the outputs are a little bit different because you'll be able to do things internally that changes that. We're going to be able to do all that signal summing and being able to change where one speaker gets its signal and the other speaker gets its output. So you don't necessarily have to match input to output when it comes to wiring it up. You can literally just wire all your inputs in, and you can do all the routing internally. But it'll give you all of that 1,000 watts total. Well, actually a little bit more than 1,000 watts if you end up bridging the 7 and 8 and 9 and 10. But the outputs are super clean, beautiful, love it. So if you got the guy that maybe wants to go a little bit bigger but not quite yet, get that 4-channel in there, get that 5-channel. And even with the 4-channel, so even if you got a guy, I probably should have mentioned this, even if you have a guy who wants more bass but doesn't necessarily want to do a whole lot internal, you know those guys, you could do our 4-channel, have the 4-channel control the cabin speakers, and then take the RCA output from the 4-channel that would be a controlled subwoofer when it comes to the DSP, and then run it to another amplifier. So there is quite a few different ways that you'll be able to incorporate our amplifiers into bigger systems, even if you want to build something outside of ours, because we have those different varying outputs.
I think the time has come, John. Let's talk about that GUI. You keep boasting of how easy it is to use. Well, show us.
Well, Ben, this would be my pleasure. So I've got my iPad up here on my desk, and it's got our app installed on it. So this is going to be your homepage on the 10-channel. So there is 2 apps, one's for the 4 and 5-channel, one's for the 10-channel. Again, because I mentioned they got a little different features. I'm going to walk you through the 10-channel. The 5 and 4-channel is going to look very similar, just with a couple different things when it comes to the routing pages. But what you see is what you get. You can see the simplicity of it being laid out. Everything's kind of there for you. A couple things to just talk about. So we've got dynamic bass and dynamic treble. So these are for your guys that want a lot of treble or a lot of bass, but you don't want to blow their speakers out. So if you were to turn up, did you see that? I'm just going to swing my finger and turn up the dynamic bass or the dynamic treble, the whatever I want it to be. And the way those work is while you turn the volume up, they will gradually go down. So it's a variable gain for your subwoofers. So the guy that wants a lot of bass at a low volume, but then cranks his system, he's going to blow his woofers out. So this kind of gives that for you. So, but you can see just how easy it is. I'm literally just dragging my finger and swinging it across. If I was to open up the routing page, you can see here, everything's going to be very easy to just kind of follow through. So if we were to select channel 1, it's going to open it up, and now we can say, hey, what channel 1 is going to be? You can see all these options here on the left-hand side. So if I say I want it to be my front left speaker, actually, you know what? I'm going to clear this so that it doesn't for you. There we go. Cool. So I'm going to select front left speaker, and now you can see my next step automatically creates for me, and now I get to decide what kind of signal is this going to be. Is it going to be a full range signal? Is it going to be a high? Is it going to be a mid? Is it going to be a low? Is it going to be mid-high, mid-low? So what this is, I can set it up as a full range setup. I can set it up as a 3-way, or I can set it up as a 2-way, all right there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set it up as, it's going to be my left front tweeter. And now you can see on the next hand side here, I've got all my inputs, my 8 inputs. Where am I getting this signal from? So here's where you're going to be able to signal some. So if you're going to take 2 signals into one, you can say, I need input 1 and input 3 to be the ones that get my signal. So for me, it's just going to be signal 1. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to turn all these other gains down because I don't need them to be the signal. I'm going to hit OK. And now you can see on the top left, it says front left high. One cool thing now is when I select channel 2 and I say that this is going to be the front right speaker, you can notice on the right hand side now it's limited my selections because it's kind of knowing, hey, you made channel 1 a tweeter, so we know channel 2's got to be something within the 3-way range. So we could go ahead and set that as high. So it kind of helps you walk through without needing to do extra steps. It starts to kind of cut the steps out for you to prevent you from, making a mistake or getting lost or something like that. We'll hit OK. Now you can see that's one set right. So I'll just go real quick here. I'm going to set this as my front left. We're going to go ahead and make that mid. I don't care about inputs right now because, well, I don't want you guys to watch me forever. It'd be kind of weird to do that. So I'm going to set this up as mid. OK. And then we'll go ahead and set this guy up as our low frequency. So now we've got our full setup when it comes to our 3-ways up front. So we have actively set up our outputs to be a 3-way setup when it comes to our front stage. Now we can go into the crossovers, tap crossovers. And you can see across the bottom, you have all your different channels. So we got channel 1, channel 2, channel 3. And you can see how the crossovers have already been kind of predetermined. Now you can completely change this. This is just going to be our AI saying, hey, you want it with this and it's a mid-range. We're going to give you this frequency. So you can go here and you can adjust your frequency however you want to. You can drag it here. You can tap whether you want it to be 6 dB, 12 dB, 18 or 24 dB drop off. You can select the different style crossovers that you want. You can turn crossovers on and off all right here. And you can see the arc happening on the page there. It just makes everything super easy, visual. And now if you look all the way at the bottom down to the right, we have a button that says combine. So this will give you the ability to do crossovers. So you only have to set up, you can set up in pairs. So we know channel 1 and 2 are tweeters. So we're just going to go ahead and blend those two. Channels 3 and 4 are now blended. Channels 5 and 6 are now blended. And you can see the different crossover points of where everything is. And once you've got those all figured out, you're like, yep, that's where I want my speaker crossovers. You just kind of back yourself out of that. And then you can go into your EQ. Now here's some cool things about the EQ. So we've got a 15-band EQ for you, but the 15-band EQ is variable, meaning it's changeable. So if we were to select like these channels here, you can see we've only got roughly 5 or 6 of our EQ points within our arc. But what we can do is we can drag. So if I was to grab number 1, I can move it so that it's within that frequency range. So if you really wanted to take 15 different adjustments within your frequency range, you could drag all of those frequencies within that bubble, and then you can either drag down at the bottom. So right now I'm using the slider, or I can grab the number and I can drag the number there, and you can just see the arc. Super quick and easy, like super fast. So again, we're going to combine those EQs. They're all going to happen. We have the Q adjustment for you. Again, easily right there, and we can back out. So once we have our EQ all set up, we want to make sure our phases. And so here's where you can turn, you can select phase, so you can flip it from 180 to 0. You can mute a channel, and then you can see the sliders at each channel. Here's your gain control. So we don't have a physical gain control on the amp. For those of you who want to make sure your customers don't tweak with your gains, there you go. Merry Christmas. So you have to be able to get into the amplifier to adjust the gains. It's happening right there. So we go back. Input. Well, if you're going to do high-level inputs and even some low-level inputs, you know, they have a not flat signal. So we do not have a built-in RTA, so you're going to have to get something to read it, but play a little pink noise, and you can flatten the EQ of the input even before you do the output. So technically, you probably want to do that first. But we do have the ability to do an input EQ to kind of help clean up your signal there. But that's it. Simple, quick, bing, bang, boom. You've done all that work. And then down here on the bottom left, it says Save to Amp, and we'll give you 5 favorites to set your presets. So once you've built your system, once you've set your system, and you want it saved, you hit favorite. Now the next time you get in the system, it's going to be that way. Now maybe you have a music palette like me that's all over the place, and so you want to EQ it for the different moods you're in. You got 5 favorites. You can literally, from the right hand side there, it says load favorite. Just know which one you want, tap it, and then it's going to go ahead and change it to whatever that preset was. But I'm telling you guys, it's super easy. It's so fast, so easy. When you've got power, you see up on the top right there, you hit connect, it's going to look for the amplifier. It'll even, so it's going to show you anything Bluetooth. But the best part is it's going to tell you which one's the amplifier, because it's going to light up green. Like I said, we really, really have done our best to make this as simple and easy when it comes to the UI, the interface, and kind of helping you kind of protect your customers from overpowering or stuff like that. But one of the easiest UIs I've ever dealt with when it comes to a DSP, all right there. The UI is nice. The simple colors, pretty. And one cool thing, if you got one of our TStyle radios, you could actually put this app on the radio and do all of this controlling from the radio. But that's just a shameless plug for you to watch the video on our TStyle. But that's our UI, man. That's our app. Super easy, man. I told you.
All right, that was Linkswell's Jon Detlefsen giving us a full breakdown of the DSP amplifiers being offered from Linkswell right now, as well as a nice thorough walkthrough of a very simple to use GUI, I must admit. Now, if you're looking for more information on any of these products, I do encourage you to check out the official website. We'll put it on the screen right now, linkswellinc.com. Now, if you're a Canadian dealer tuning in, then you should know that Automobility is the official distributor for all things Linkswell. We've had them on before with regards to the TStyle radios, but here it is, another category, DSP. Of course, I had to reach out to my good friend Phil Cameron, who's the product expert over at Automob. Now, Phil, this is a very unique one because this is a brand that has found their footing in one thing, which is the giant TStyle radios and integration, but now have come up with the DSP offering. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this.
For me, the one thing that stuck out the most is the GUI. It's very different than everything else I've seen, and it looks extremely easy to use, so I'm really looking forward for that. Also, T-harness selection. Oh, that's super nice. Us technician are, I was going to say lazy, but let's not say that. Let's say very efficient. So if there's a way that can make our job a lot easier, then the T-harness is the way to go. Simplify our life. And also the Bluetooth streaming. Oh, this is nice. Most DSPs out there will use Bluetooth just for your configuration, but having the ability to stream music directly onto your DSP amplifier, that's pretty sweet. I'm looking forward to playing with all that stuff.
Now, Phil, I did notice something that John had mentioned, that, you know, when building these amplifiers, they really kept their TStyle radios in mind when coming up with the final product. How do you feel that would work for dealers who maybe are already successful Linkswell, source unit dealers?
I think it's a great complement to the existing line. So if you've tried their TStyle radio, you absolutely love them. And if you're looking for a little bit more power, a little bit more flexibility, and your upgrade, then this is great. Especially with the T-harness, it gives you the ability to not only upgrade your sound with the T-style or without the radio itself. So you get the best of both worlds. Easy to install, super easy to use GUI, and also a great upgrade to your existing T-style radio.
Well, I want to take this opportunity and thank my two guests for joining me on today's show. Of course, JON DETLEFSEN from Linkswell, as well as good buddy Phil Cameron from Automobility. Now, in my closing comments, I'm pretty impressed, right? This is a brand that made its way onto the scene by coming up with something that is totally out of left field that nobody else was doing, and that was in the TStyle radios. And now they have certainly found their footing, because not only do they have some of the biggest and baddest options out there, but they've managed to incorporate some high technology. And that I mean T-harnesses. So you've got these great radio upgrades and a company that knows how to do OEM integration via their T-harnesses. Now they're coming to the table with these 3 amplifier options with integrated DSP. Add to that an extremely simple GUI via tablet or phone, which is available for both Android and iOS. And on top of that, add some goodies like a Bluetooth streamer and Toslink optical in. I think this is an all-in-one package that could easily be a great solution when it comes to improving a factory sound, especially when integrating into some of these popular vehicles that they have T-harness solutions for. And to boot, the tech support that I know that Jonathan and his team bring to the table, this is a sure winner when it comes to finding a single chassis solution for those OEM integration upgrades. That's it for this CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.
There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM with over 150 channels in your vehicle. Your Platinum Plan offer includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video on Demand. What you love is on now.